Good morning, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad and believers in Yeshua Messiah. Welcome. I'm Pastor David Sain, Senior Shepherd here at Living Manna Church. I am so grateful that you've chosen to spend your Sabbath morning with us. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate that. It is Saturday morning here, 10 o'clock. We are getting ready to have a conversation, and to do that, my dear brother Max is with me. Good morning, dear brother. Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning. Hey, can you guys see me okay? My ring light fell right into my computer right before it went on and hit my camera.
Yeah, you got a lot of space above your head, but we got a good picture of you. If you can lower that down a little bit, that'd be cool. That's good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, you're right.
Good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Your picture looks good.
Thanks. So good. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. Still, just recovering from this cold, my back. I'm getting old, man. Isn't that Charlie? No. Don't you remember? You ever just be around somebody that no matter what it is, you ask them how you doing. It's just this laundry list. Oh man, this hurts and that hurts, and you're like, oh man. And then you get old.
It was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, well, I really didn't want to know.
Right?
Yeah, but oh man, you get older and everything does hurt. It really does. True. It takes longer to get healthy.
Yeah, we were at BJ's Wholesale yesterday trying to get some stuff before Shabbat, and every other person that walks past you has got the sniffle, the cough. And
oh, yeah.
It's just that time. Come on. We were just at -6 with wind chills in the -40s, and yesterday, day before, it's been in the 50s.
I know. It's gonna get warmer the next few days, but then there's another nasty cold front coming through behind that.
Yeah, so, I saw that.
So it's gonna be some crazy weather this week. They're talking about possible winter tornadoes in the Midwest, which is crazy. I mean, I would never want to be anywhere near a tornado, but
no way. Those are scary
stuff. But excuse me. It is cool. And actually, it's been a while, since we got together. It's been all sorts of things coming up.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And injuries and my back and et cetera. So, we missed some really interesting things that have been going on around the country and all sorts of topics to talk about. And I'm going to share a little bit tomorrow when we get to our weekend evangelism service. We're going to be talking about Lot and Sodom and its relevance, because it's really, really relevant, some of the things that are going on now. Mm-hmm. But on the bright side, I'm not. When I go to the store, I'm not really hearing Christmas music. Isn't it something how that stuff turns off?
Goodness.
It turns off like the day after.
Yep.
Right, you hear it. You hear it all the way up, and then that week between. I mean, I guess there's some places that still do it, but a lot of the places here, boy, it just died.
Yeah,
it just died.
And it started like what? As soon as Halloween ended, it was playing in the stores, man.
Yeah. So if there's a silver lining around the cloud, at least that's done.
Yeah.
At least for now. Well, obviously we're going to get back to that. But so it's been a few weeks, and let me just say good morning to everybody. I'm not.
Yeah. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm not even online myself. Let me do that. I want to check out everybody. Sorry, guys. So it's been a couple of weeks, and actually this topic that we, excuse me. Oh, sorry, guys. I know it sounds terrible. This topic for this week is actually something we picked a couple of weeks ago because there was a conversation that we were having in Telegram. Oh, let me do the commercial for Telegram before we go any further, just to let everybody know that really today is the last day for Telegram. Tomorrow at some point it'll be our Telegram LMC Manna Eaters will be closed down. But if you haven't already, you need to download our new app. The LMC app. If you had the old app, all you really have to do is just update it, and you'll get the new app. Within our app, we have our own chat room. It's called Manna Eaters. We call it Manna Eaters 2.0, but it's Manna Eaters. It's what's going to replace Telegram, and it's not just. Let me just see if I can do this. It's not just the app. We also have a brand new website. PM spent a lot of time, a lot of energy getting all of this together. So we're doing a big changeover going into the new year. But what's cool is that our app has its own chat feature. We've got Manna Eaters within it, and we also have a thing for a chat for prayer and praise. So anybody that has a prayer request, whatever it is, you can go on there in whatever time. Put your prayer request in, and we're asking everybody to make sure in the morning when you get up and you listen to Morning Manna, go to the chat room, check out the prayer and praise. You want to know what to pray for. You want to pray for other people. The prayers will be listed there. You can pray for them. There'll also be praise reports listed there. You can chat back and forth. And I would really recommend do it every morning. Every morning, just check it out, see what's there when you're going to go do your own morning prayer, or if you do it in the evening. And you can pray, but it's going to replace what we were doing on Telegram. So I really want to encourage everybody, make sure today, if you haven't done it already, to go ahead and do that. And let me just give everybody just a quick tutorial here.
Yeah, and while you're pulling it up, I just want to tell you, if you hit refresh, it could do it. But also, some people, I know on my phone, I had to shut down my phone, and when I rebooted it, it came up perfect. So you might have to shut down your phone and put it back on. That's a little side note.
Yeah, either shutting down your phone, or which obviously you could do, or just delete the app and just re-upload it. It depends on your phone, it depends on your carrier, it depends on the internet, where you are, if it's lagging, stuff like that. I mean, it's working great down here. We've got really good internet here, in the boroughs. So, and especially here at LMC. But let me pop this up for you guys to see. This isn't the app, but this is our new website. And let me do it this way, full screen. And so what's really kind of neat, guys, I know you guys can still hear me, is that if you don't have a cell phone, obviously almost everybody has a cell phone, but another cool feature on this is that you can get into the chat through your computer as well. So if you go to the livingmanna.org, you can see up here, the livingmanna.org. You can watch whatever live broadcasting is going on right now. You click that. It works very, very similar to the app. You can go ahead and you can watch whatever's live. And of course, we've got a brand new introduction here. Also, it's different pictures and, all stuff that's new. Of course, our Morning Manna is available. I know some people are asking, what about all the previous Morning Mannas and really even all the previous studies and stuff? We're going to be removing them. Actually, they are removed already for the most part, at least on the app. They're removed, so you can we only have about 5 or 6. I think the last 5 or 6 Morning Mannas up there, but you can check it out. And of course, just hit the play. And a player comes up. You can play it. You can stop it. You can forward it. You can send it to someone else. What's really cool is in our media section up here, you have access to all of the different things that we've got going on. Here it is, Manna Eaters, YAM. People are asking me, what's YAM? It's our young adult ministry. And yes, I'm too old to be in that chat room. They won't let me in. But it's our young adult ministry, just a way for some young people to get together and have their own chat. But really, the big thing is the Manna Eaters, and of course, our prayer and praise report. Please make sure you sign up for that so that you guys can keep in touch with us and just be part of the chat. Now, the really big thing that I really would like for us to do for everybody that's within our congregation, everybody that's outside, is we try to, because what we really want to do, bro, is I want to foster more of a community. Ever since COVID came, the whole world has changed, right? The whole world has changed. A majority of people haven't gone back to their offices yet. The buildings in Manhattan are empty. All those big sky risers you see, guys, they're empty. The millions and millions and billions of dollars of real estate is literally empty because people are working at home. It's a different economy has sort of come out of that, as well as a different way of doing quote unquote church has also happened. And there's good parts to it and there's bad parts to it. A lot of people feel, well, I could just stay home and I don't have to go, which is, okay, we're in the middle of COVID, I get that, but we really need to fellowship together. We really need to have that community atmosphere and more than just once a week. And so, online's cool if you're far away, if you're watching from, other states and you're part of the LMC, the online's cool. I mean, I don't expect you to, get in your car from Washington, D.C. or Idaho and, drive down to meet us here on the weekend, at 9:45 for a service. But we want to foster more of a community atmosphere, which means we need to talk. We need to be able to share. And so one of the things that we like to do, and really the core reason for Manna Eaters, was to share some recipes. On one, maybe 2 nights a week. Normally for us, it's either Tuesday or Thursday. We cook, or even on Shabbat. We cook, and you cook your meal, put it out there, show people. If people are interested, they'll ask for the recipe, share things about Yah, share scriptures, good morning to people, have a conversation. And what I hope this will do is this will foster more community, and so that we're not just seeing each other on the weekend. We get a chance to talk a little bit on Tuesday, maybe talk a little bit on Thursday. You've seen the stuff me and Pastor G do. We go back and forth, making fun of each other, and just having a good time, memeing each other, and checking out dishes. And I don't know if you guys seen, but Jillian came on with some awesome food yesterday. Just blew everybody out of the water. That's the kind of stuff we want to see and we want to foster. We really want to foster a more community in interpersonal relationships. I know we all got a lot of stuff going on, but we ought to be able to at least take one day and do something like this. Jump on, even if you're eating at McDonald's, which is probably not a good thing for you to do. But
I wouldn't recommend.
I would recommend. But even if you eat at McDonald's, take a picture of your McDonald's and send it to us. And put a little scripture or something under there. And we want to hear from you. Is really, I guess, the bottom line. We want to hear from everybody. So please, if you are part of LMC, get the app, be part of the conversation, even if it's just once or twice a week. Let us know what's going on, and we would love that. So anyway, so that's the commercial. I know it's a long commercial, but it's an important one.
That commercial was brought to you by Pfizer.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Did you ever see?
Oh man, made me cough.
I was watching this one guy on Rumble one day, and he was showing Good Morning America and all these shows that pump the the what in the arm. I didn't want to say the word. But they're all brought to you by that company. It's so funny how at the end of the show.
Do you remember the movie RoboCop?
Yeah.
Back in the day. I mean, the original RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
And they spoofed the whole movie because everything in the movie was brought to you by this gun manufacturer, this conglomerate that's making billions and billions of dollars off of war and death.
Yep.
And every commercial was, I forgot what the name of the company was, but brought to you by. And it was a spoof, and you were supposed to, it was supposed to be satire as you watched it, saying, because if you see that in real life, that's bad. I mean, that's bad. If one company is bringing all this and having all this advertising, they're pushing an agenda. That's what the movie's telling us, right?
Yep.
And then you watch what goes on here. It's on every channel. It's on every commercial. CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, brought to you by Pfizer. And it just
this segment was fun. Yeah, it's so true.
It just reminded me of the RoboCop movie that, oh my goodness, this is, I don't know if that's life imitating art or if that's art imitating life, but pretty scary stuff. Either way, pretty scary stuff.
That is funny. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No. That's not what we're talking about today. That's all commercials and just, banter back and forth. But here's what we're going to talk about. Let me actually pop this up. We're going to start off, guys, in the Gospel according to John this morning. Gospel according to John and chapter 9 and verses 1 through 5. And I can pop this up for everybody in just a second. Let's take a look at that. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. I feel terrible. Okay. Here's a Gospel according to John, chapter 9, and we're going to look at verses 1 through 5 as sort of our opening thought. And again, this is really sort of in response to some conversations. I know we're a little bit behind, but some conversations that we were having just a couple of weeks ago. But now it's been a couple of weeks ago. But it's important, and it's even relative to the ending of a year. Actually, this is today's the last day of the year, right? Yeah, tomorrow
Yeah,
begins.
yeah.
Tonight's
Tonight's
the New
New
Year's.
Year's Eve. Yeah.
Isn't it so weird when you're not really connected to it anymore?
Yeah, you don't even keep track of
Right?
date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
not. I mean, obviously, we live in this world around us, so and we are all bound by the way the year is split up. There's no
Yeah,
way.
the
I mean,
Gregorian calendar. Yeah, there's no way getting around
there's
it.
no way of getting around it. Your pay comes there, your job is there, your daily life is there. So we got to acknowledge it. So it is the ending of a year, and it is sort of a time of looking back and all the rest of that. But it's kind of weird that actually, Sister Karen and I, it was so funny, last weekend, which I think was Christmas Day. Yeah, Sunday would have been the 25th. Of course we're worshiping, we're doing all that after service. Sister Karen and I, we went out to Taco Bell. I know, of all things you should be eating, it's better. Listen, it's better than McDonald's. So we go out to Taco Bell, and we're like, "Oh, this is great, man! Nobody's here. We can just zip right through the zip right through the drive-thru." And we go up to the drive-thru. We're at the thing. We're like, "Man, there's and we look inside. It's empty, and the lights are off. And we're like, "What's wrong? Why are they empty?" And then we're like, "Oh, today's the 25th. We forgot." And it was so weird, to look at that. Then we got to drive through the drive-thru. Yeah, that's funny. You got to get Chinese food.
Remember Seinfeld? Because they're all Jewish, and on Christmas Day,
that's a big Jewish thing. Yeah.
Yep, all the Chinese food places are open for the Jewish people.
And up here, they have kosher Chinese places. Like in Riverdale, they've got kosher Chinese. I don't know how good it tastes, but.
Kosher. They have kosher pizza places in New York City too. Those are really good.
Oh yeah, actually, some of the best pizzas in Brooklyn, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, we're digressing here. We're digressing. All right, so John chapter 9, verse 1 says, "And passing by, he saw a man blind from birth, and his taught ones asked him, saying, 'Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he should be born blind?' Yeshua answered, 'Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of Elohim might be made manifest in him. It is necessary for me to work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one is able to work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world.'" And of course, you guys know the rest of the story here. The master then spits on the ground and makes clay and puts it on the man's eyes. And of course, amazing story, amazing, miraculous story of healing for this man. But the conversation that sort of came up a couple of weeks ago was about, curses, generational curses, healing. Can what your parents do, bring sickness and death upon you, or sickness and illness and tragedy, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's a really, that's a good question because a lot of us, where we've come from, the parts of Christendom that we've come from, there's a huge part of Christendom that called the Word of Faith movement. Power positive thinking movement. It has all sorts of different names. The something reformed, I forgot what the name of it is. Apostolic reformed or something like that. Excuse me. Where the idea is, and I'm sure we've all sort of come into contact with this, is that you have to have enough faith to be healed. And that if you're not healed or something bad happens to you, it's because you've had a lack of faith, or you've done something wrong, and now a curse has come upon you. Or the idea that, a generational curse. This is from your father or your great grandfather, and that's kind of been passed down. And I wanna put that in its right perspective, because obviously the Bible talks about curses and do this and you'll be blessed. Do this and you'll be cursed. But the way that we've had it presented to us within because there's the two sides of it. There's the side of it where curses and stuff can come upon you because of what people did, but then there's the other side of it, that if you have enough faith, you're going to get healed. You're going to get prosperity. You're going to get wealth. You're going to get,
Yep.
there's those two sides of the coin, and quite honestly, neither one is correct. Neither one is accurate to reality. Number one, that we are all living, but to Scripture as well. And so I want to parse some scriptures here, try to see if we can explain this
Yep.
thing.
And there's a difference too, right, between the curses, like generational, that people think, the sins of the fathers will be passed to the son. There are things though that are, if your family, has a bad habit, usually your kids pick that up. But you're not going to be punished for the sins of your father. That's the difference. That's why you ever notice when you go to the doctor and they ask if there's linkage between, cancer in the family, this, that, the other thing. I thought it was because genetically you were more, proposed, to having cancer. And I was watching a documentary with some doctors, and they were saying the reason why that's really a key question is because you usually eat the same way your parents ate, and they ate the same way their parents ate. So so there's linkage between that. So I just thought that was pretty cool. So there is, those things, but we're going to bring out some scripture that shows the opposite of what we were taught. I've been put in overflow rooms after being prayed over, and they're like, put them in the overflow room, continue to pray over them for the next hour, until they get healed. It's just been crazy. But
yeah, I know. Listen, so we're going to talk about healing, and there's a whole lot to this conversation. Whether we'll be able to cover everything in the time we got, I don't know. But I know that you've had some. You just mentioned it, but you've had some really personal experiences with this sort of word of faith thing. I remember you telling me that, coming around you and sort of slapping you on your head and pushing you down. Meanwhile, you got a major back surgery. I don't know if you guys know this, but Brother Max has had major back surgeries. And they're just slamming you on the head and pushing you down. And then, like you said, then when no healing happens there, did it ever get to the point?
Pray harder, and then more people push on you. And right?
What were you thinking
Honestly?
when this? So this is before you know truth, right? So this is we don't understand what we understand now. In your mind, I would assume, you're trying to live out the scripture where it says to pray over the sick, and we should. There's no doubt. Please don't think we're not saying that you shouldn't pray over the sick. You should, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking as that was going on?
At that point, then you start to doubt yourself. Is there something, in my life? And then you start analyzing it, and then truthfully, after a while, you just like, get off me, stop touching me. You do it. It becomes the opposite of faith, right? Because now you're just like, wow, how come that guy got healed, or did he, and I'm over here truly believing. I came up in faith, right? That's the whole thing. I came up to the altar with that mindset of I wanted to get healed. I believe, Father could do it. And sure enough, it's just, it was aggravating, depressing, right? It taxes you where you go home and you're depressed. You're like, how come I wasn't healed? What was different with me, And but yeah, it'd be frustrating because, like you said, the longer they prayed over you and you didn't have a sign or that miracle on the spot, the more people would come in and put more hands on you. Like you said, we've had 5 surgeries on your back, and you got 15, 20 people leaning on you because they're leaning on you because they're getting tired of praying, and then they're putting all that on you, right? And I'm like, all you do is making me worse. Get off me.
And that's that's no slant to the people that were praying.
Oh
because
yeah, exactly.
I think that I know back in the day, we were doing it in sincerity.
Yep.
We
I agree.
We were really hoping, praying, for some sort of miraculous thing to occur. And certainly, you'll get your stories, and testimonies from people of wonderful things that did happen. Man, that's great. That's awesome that happens. But on the whole, as a majority, I had that same feeling that there came a point. I'm like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? Is really the question. But here in John 9, see, there was a way of thinking, and this isn't the only error. There's lots of errors that the apostles, that the disciples were involved in within their religious belief. This is just one. There's the other era of, we can't even be in the houses of Gentiles, right? They're dogs. We got to stay away from them. That was a cultural era. That was not something that Moses said. It wasn't something that the people of Yah were supposed to be doing. It was what happened in their culture, and Father had to move them out of it, right? Father had to teach them. Well, here there's another cultural idea which is still prevalent and relevant even to us today, and they ask, they see the guy, he's born blind, which would have been, it's a handicap no matter what, but in that day, even more of a handicap than it would have been here today if you didn't have people around you to support you and to help you. There was no, social safety net structure to assist in ways. So this guy was in a bad situation. And so the question they ask is, is he in this situation because of something he did or because of something his parents did? And so the immediate default position in their thinking was some sort of sin.
Yep, it's got to be some sin, yeah.
Something happened to, if this guy's suffering like this, then something happened. His parents did something horribly, horribly wrong, and he's born from birth. So really, what could this guy have done if this is something that happens, from his birth? But that was the thinking, and Messiah corrects them. Right? Because this situation, which again is from his birth, Messiah makes clear this has nothing to do with his parents, nor does it really have anything to do with any action he has taken. And the answer is really quite wonderful. This is for the glory of Elohim. This is an opportunity for Father to intervene, for Father to do something wonderful. And of course, the rest of the story, the guy does get healed, which is amazing, right? Amazing that the man does get healed. But we can't bypass those words that Messiah is telling us that, no, this guy didn't do anything. He was born this way. What could he do as a baby? And
yeah.
And neither his parents. Now, that's not to say that we can't do things that will cause tragedy to come upon us. That's absolutely true. The woman taken in adultery, Yeshua tells her, go and sin no more. There are other times where he says, where he heals him, he says, go, don't sin anymore, lest a worse thing
happens.
So yes, there are things we can do that will bring tragedy and sickness and all sorts of things on us. But this guy in John 9, this was for Yah's glory. This was an opportunity for Father to do something absolutely wonderful. It's amazing because when you read through the story, his parents then turn on him. Everybody turns on him. The guy has his sight back, and everybody just turns on this guy. The religious world turns on this guy, but he has this
fear of losing access to the temple, right?
So the question then for me is, the question that was kind of posed is, well, can there be generational curses? Are there things that our parents do that wind up cursing us? And I think first of all, we got to really kind of define what curse means, right? Because when you go back to Moses, the idea of blessings and cursings was obedience, right? Right. When he's talking to Israel, do this and there'll be blessings, do this and there'll be cursings. And the implication there is, and actually, there's a whole bunch of promises that are given in Deuteronomy that are relevant to this discussion, because it's in Deuteronomy. Did I put it up there? I don't think I put it 7. Up there. Yeah. Deuteronomy 7. Let's take a look at it real quick, because I think this is important. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 14, I guess we could start at?
Yeah, start off at 14, yeah.
All right, so Yah's talking about blessings and cursings. Blessed are you above all peoples. There is not going to be a barren man or barren woman among you or your livestock. So these are these are crazy blessings. Father's telling them, if you do what I've asked you to do, when you go into the land, these are the things that are going to happen to you. Now, we've taken a lot of this and have attached it to us and said, oh, these are the promises of Yah that we will all have these things.
Regardless,
I think we need to be really, really careful about that, because when you look at the history of what Israel did, they did none of this. And everything that he said was going to happen bad actually happened. The curses came upon them, which is the whole reason Messiah comes, or part of the reason, from the first curse. But anyway, so it goes, bless you above all people, not a barren among you, man or woman, or livestock. Verse 15, and Yah shall turn away from you all the sicknesses and put on you none of the evil diseases of Mitzrayim, Egypt, which you have known. But he shall put them on all those who hate you. And you shall consume all the peoples with Yah your Elohim, all the peoples whom Yah your Elohim is delivering over to you. Your eye shall not pardon them, and not serve their mighty ones, for that is a snare to you. And of course, the blessings go on and on and on, and the cursings go on and on and on. So people sometimes take that verse and say, look, we're not supposed to have the curses of Egypt. Yeah, but he's talking about them, and they didn't do what he said. And all the curses of Egypt did come upon them, and their people were barren, and they did get all the the diseases of Egypt. And I think we make that mistake, we make that leap of thinking, because Yah's saying it here, that this has to be true across the board for all of us. He's saying this is what happens to the faithful people. This is what Yah's going to do for you when you go into the land. So is the promise literal to these people? Yeah, I think so. I think Father was really promising them literally this would happen if you are obedient. Fact of the matter is they weren't.
Yeah, and the irony is, Christendom extracts these verses they want to use and call on these as promises, but nothing else from the Torah do they want to follow.
Right. Yeah. And that's just it. You can't just selectively pull out a piece and say, okay, now this is just a blanket statement for everything, when there's more to the story, i.e. being faithful, i.e. walking in his truth. But I think because you just pan through the history of Israel, and obviously bad things happened. They were disobedient. Horrible things happened. And yet somewhere along the line, this idea of, well, what your fathers did is now a curse upon you, when in reality, each one of us makes a decision for ourselves. Because we that's the whole idea of the judgment. You will stand for yourself. You will have to give an account of yourself. This idea now, because people point to and say, well, what it says that Father will visit upon the second and third and fourth generation of those who hate him. Well, isn't that a curse being passed down? I guess technically you could say that, but what he's really saying is, if one generation is disobedient, the likelihood is and if the next generation is disobedient, the likelihood of the generation after that is going to be more disobedient, and the generation after that's going to be more disobedient. And there comes a time when Father just says, enough.
And if you don't believe that, read the Kings, First, Second Kings. Every king that took the next place was worse and got worse, right? Until a couple, Josiah, but on the majority, you're right. It just got worse with every generation.
But there is no blanket statement that regardless of what you do, just because you happen to believe that you will have all of these wonderful things happen to you, it's still about obedience. It's still about what you do. And and there are, again, so many other factors involved in this now today, because we're not in the land of Israel. We haven't gotten our inheritance, because these promises are true. And let me say, they are a blanket statement, right? They are an eventual blanket statement to all peoples, to all believers, that you will be blessed, that you will have good, that you will have health, that you will have prosperity. Yes, they are blanket statements across the board, but in this life, Messiah told us, you will have tribulation. You will have hardship. There is sickness. There is disease. There is hurt. There is pain. And when Father chooses to intervene for his glory, wonderful. And I think we should always pray for that. But the ultimate end of all of this is not Israel under Moses entering the land. It's the regathering of the house of Israel from all the nations into the land. That's the ultimate promise. Of course, what we would call it resurrection. And when that occurs, when that part of the story occurs, then all the promises that are given in Deuteronomy, the whole book of all the blessings, then those things will be a blanket statement to all the people of God in the resurrection, and we could prove it. I mean, we could absolutely prove it. Here is Revelation, and chapter 7. It appears in a couple of different places, but I'm just picking chapter 7 because it's specifically talking about the scattered peoples, Ephraim scattered around. Chapter 7 is the whole 144,000, right? 12,000 from each tribe. But then eventually, verse 9 says, let's take a look at it. And after this I looked, and I saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all the nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands. So lots and lots and lots and lots of people. This is resurrection. This is after 2,000 years of tribulation that has been going on. And obviously, you know, they're from every tribe, nation, and tongue. They're us. They are the regular people. And here's the thing. What did they come out of? And let me see if I can actually find for the verses. Deliverance belongs to my Lamb. Oh, here it is. Verse 14. John's asking, you know, who are these people? You know, of the nations. And he said, Master, you know. And he said to me, these are those coming out. Now in the scriptures version it says great distress. All right, that's accurate. I think some of the other versions say great tribulation, hardships. Now, we often, there's two schools of thought. You know, you got the people that say, well, this is just talking about some short period of time at the end of history. And then you've got another school of thought saying, well, this is all of history. This is tribulation since the days that the temple was torn down, that all the world has gone through. And look at what has been the history of the world. War, death, famine, rape, murder, pillaging, disease, natural disaster, storm. I mean, just that is the history of humanity, especially war and us, killing each other, and sickness and disease. Guys, look where we just came from. Just 2 years ago. So
in the interlinear it says the word just means pressing, or oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress.
So I'm more of the mind that what he's referring to is not a short segment of time at the end of history, but an overall arching of time from the time of Messiah's sacrifice to where we are today. I think that is the tribulation he's talking about. Because if it's the latter case, if it's just a small group of people at the end, well, then what of everybody else that's come before? What have they gone through? And it's been bad. I mean, it's tribulation is tribulation. Tribulation is either sitting in France during World War II, and the Nazis are in charge and people are dying right and left, or sitting in Jerusalem with Rome outside. It's tribulation no matter what. Tribulation is the Black Plague, killing almost a third of all the people on the planet, in medieval ages, or shutting down an entire global economy and people losing businesses and a sickness. And actually, have you seen what's going on in China? It's nuts, man. COVID is just ripping them apart over there. So, have we all gone through tribulation? Are we all susceptible to sickness? Are we all susceptible to disease? Are we all susceptible to injury? Are we all susceptible to hurt? You've got to answer that honestly. And the honest answer is yes.
Yep.
And if you strictly look at, yeah, but the promise says, and then I should have this. Well, when you don't have it, then what conclusion do you got to come to? Well, then I've done something wrong. I'm doing something wrong. And you're not. I mean, if you're truly trying to follow the master, if you're truly trying to understand truth, everybody gets sick. Everybody gets hurt. Everybody, horrible tragedies come on all of us. And eventually, and I know we don't like to think about this, but eventually death is coming.
Yep.
Our bodies will give out on us.
It's Matthew 5:45, right? It rains on the just.
It rains on the just and it rains on the unjust. But when you continue with the scripture, excuse me, when you continue with the scripture, he says, okay, these are those coming out of, let me just highlight it for everybody. These are those coming out of, just lost my spot there. Dressed in
Great tribulation.
Great tribulation.
Washed their robes.
Having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they are before the throne of Elohim and serve him night and day in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent, his tabernacle, over them. And look at what it says. Now in resurrection, all the promises that were given through Moses to the people of God are now going to be a blanket statement for everybody. There shall be no more hunger, nor thirst anymore. And the sun shall not. Now, the whole idea of sun is tribulation, hardship, nor any heat. Because the Lamb who is in the midst of them shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of water of life, and he shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. Now, you can go to other passages in Revelation where it says similar things: no more sickness, no more disease, no more crying, no more death. And I'm thinking like chapter 20, 21, where a similar list is given. But the idea here is, when does the blanket statement of Deuteronomy, or really, if you think about it, what was Moses really talking about when he gave those promises? Was it to those people? Yes, no doubt. Had they done what Yah said, would those promises have come in? Yes, that would have. But did they? No. So when does that real fulfillment? Because if Father's Father, if he says what he says and he means what he says, it's got to be true. But if you look at history, none of that's been true. Because I think Father, even though the promise was there for them, the ultimate fulfillment of this promise is resurrection.
That's right.
It's resurrection. That's when there will be no more sickness, no more disease, blanket health, blanket wealth, blanket prosperity, all the rest of that. And so you've got, so many within the religious world that are trying to attach this to us today, but you got to force it. It's a square peg in a round hole, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with what we see. It doesn't fit with what we experience, and you just can't ignore everything that's going on and say, well, we're all supposed to have this status or this place in Yah. Well, we are supposed to have this status, and I think another really, really important verse. Let me make sure I know exactly where it is.
Where are you looking up?
All things work together.
Oh, for the
yeah. Where is that again? I forgot where that is. It's funny because that's actually one of the first scriptures I remember. Now I can't even think. I'm thinking, is it 1 Corinthians? You want to look that up for me? Can somebody look that up for me? All things work together for the good to those who love Yah. I can't remember where that is, but anyway, that's the verse. All things work together. Somebody
Romans 8.
Oh, Romans. Of course, Romans. Romans 8.
Around 28. Check out 27, 28.
I'm looking at 1 Corinthians. That's why I can't find it.
Yep, and we know that all things work together for the good to them that love Elohim, to them who are called according to his purpose.
Romans 8. All right, I'm going to open it up in my Bible sitting in front of me too, because there's here's actually if you read Romans 8 from like verses 18, because this is the context of that statement, because you know what winds up happening is, just like with so many other of the verses, people read Romans 8:28. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for the good to those who love Yah, to those who are called according to his purpose. And that goes for those whom he foreknew, who he predestined, etc., etc., etc. But that verse, all things work together, how many times have you heard, have I heard, have we even said in the past before, have we heard from the religious world this verse quoted as well, everything's going to work out fine. Everything's going to work out good. There's going to be healing. You're going to get through this. And it's wonderful when you do. That's amazing. That's great. But that's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about everything in your life coming up roses. He's not talking about health, wealth, and prosperity. As a matter of fact, he's actually talking about the opposite of that, of what life will be. And here's why. Here's Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. Is listen to what he says. For I reckon that the sufferings. Yeah. So if we're supposed to have the blanket statement of health, wealth, prosperity, well then why is he writing that? And I mean, it doesn't. You don't really have to be a Bible scholar, but just look through some of the stuff Saul went through. If you think anybody should have been a person that
pull up 2 Corinthians. Let's read that.
All right, yeah. So before we read Romans 8, then let's 2 Corinthians. What? Where is it?
Chapter 11.
We'll go back to Romans 8 in a second, guys. 2 Corinthians and chapter 11, and what verse?
22.
All right, so
starting at 22 down to I believe 33.
All right. So here's, again, you don't got to really be a Bible scholar to figure this stuff out. Saul talks about this openly. And you would think if there's any guy who should have had just total health, total wealth, total prosperity, every prayer, answered. And there's no doubt that, Saul lays hands on people and they get healed. Miraculous is going on. And I think that's to prove his message. That's to prove the master's message. Don't forget, this is the beginning of getting this message to the house of Israel. Just like Moses in the beginning performs all of these amazing miracles to prove the authenticity of what Father is saying to his people. You go past Moses in history. Well, that's not an everyday occurrence. Messiah comes. These miraculous miracles to prove the validity of his message given to the apostles, miraculous miracles. And again, I'm not saying the Father doesn't do miracles today. Of course he could and does. But if he does it to his glory.
That's right.
He does it to his glory. Anyway, verse 22 says, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they of Israel? So am I. Are they of the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they servants of Messiah? I speak as beside myself, I am more. In labors, much more. In stripes, above measure. In prison, more frequently. In deaths, many times. I mean, that's not a life of wealth, health, and prosperity there.
Nope.
That's a life of hardship, of bad things happening.
I don't think Creflo Dollar's read this in his...
Oh, did you see Creflo Dollar supposedly repented?
Oh, my goodness.
Supposedly repented of all the health, wealth, and prosperity. And, so long as you send him $1,000 gift, it'll help him to repent or some crazy stuff. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there was another thing with Duplantis also.
Him too? Oh, he's another.
On Christmas Eve. That's another story for another day.
Oh, man.
Hey, I get that from you. That's another message for another time.
That stuff is so crazy. And it twists people. It twists the story.
Oh yeah,
because that's guru stuff. That's new age stuff. And it doesn't even work. It doesn't work.
Nope.
It doesn't work. How can you keep saying that stuff and everybody in your congregation has some horrible thing happening to them? But they're all hoping. They're all hoping.
Well, they see these guys
something
up there with $20 million salaries and
well, yeah, they have wealth.
Yep.
They have wealth, but you know what? They're going to get sick. They're going to die. They're going to have tragedy, just like everybody else. So anyway, so Saul goes on and says, 5 times I received from the Jews 40 stripes less one. Guys, think about that for a second. This guy was put to the whipping post.
5 times.
Put to the whipping post. And you know, we all know, we've all probably done studies and stuff like this before. But the reason they do 49 lashes and not 50, because that's what it is. 40 stripes less one, or they don't do 40. They do 40. They do 39, not 40 stripes. The reason they do that is most people didn't survive doing over that. You're talking about ripping your back apart until it is
Ribs
shreds.
exposed. Yep.
And how many times did he go through this?
Imagine the scars on that man's body.
Oh my
5
goodness.
times he had this done.
Oh my goodness. 3 times I was beaten with rods. So not only does this guy get whipped, and so when he says, near death, yeah, he was near death 5 times, and then beaten with a rod. I mean, imagine taking a wooden cane. That's as bad. That's got to be as almost, if not as bad, almost as bad as being whipped. So he gets 5 times that. 3 times he gets beaten with rods. Once he was stoned. Guys, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's another near-death experience.
Imagine 15, 20 people all picking up rocks. And I'm not talking about,
and they're trying to pick up the heaviest ones they can throw.
Yeah, no little skipping stones. They're picking up rocks, and once I was stoned, 3 times I was shipwrecked. 3 times, the boat crashes and they got to swim to shore. And night and day, I have been in the deep. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a great fear. Obviously we all don't know what way we're going to go, when we're going to go. No man's promised tomorrow. But the one way I do not want to go is bobbing up and down in the ocean and hearing somebody playing a cello going, I'd have a heart attack just being in the ocean like that.
Yep.
And so this guy, how many times has it happened? 3 times.
3
times the guy shipwrecked.
I heard of a Marine who fell off of an aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean Sea, and he survived 2 days. And a fishing boat, that was a shark fishing boat, caught him. And he said that his experience, he had sharks swimming between his legs, circling. Can you imagine?
Nope.
Nope. That's my biggest fear, too. Anyway,
nope.
3 times.
I do not want to be eaten. I'll die any other way, man. I do not want to be eaten.
No.
All right. So I've been in the deep, in many travels, in danger of waters, in danger of robbers, getting beat up, robbed, mugged, in danger of my own race, because the Jews were going hard at him. Now, what most people don't realize is probably about 20% of the Jews were actually believers of Messiah. So we always like we try to count them out, that they all just rejected, and a lot of them obviously did, but not all. Not all. Yep. If it hadn't been for them, you and I wouldn't be here. Dangers in the city, dangers in the desert, dangers in the sea, dangers among false brethren. I mean, imagine all the plots and subplots and, take them out and say all nasty things about them. In toil of hardship, in watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness. Besides the matters from the outside, besides all of this stuff, what comes upon me daily, the anxiety. So I not only had to deal with all these problems, I had to deal with the problems of people in their congregations.
Yeah, and you see it.
On top of that.
Galatians. Really?
On top of that.
Weak and fable, right?
So,
can you imagine?
So all of this stuff that he's talking about, who is weak and I'm not weak? Who is made to stumble and I do not burn inwardly? If I have to boast, I shall boast of matters that show up my weakness. The Elohim of our Father and Master, Yeshua Messiah, who is blessed forever, knows that I am not lying. So when it comes to to health, wealth, and prosperity. That was not what happened to Saul.
No joke, right?
And, the other thing is, everybody's like, man, I wish we were back in that day and we could have been there with Saul and seen these wonderful things.
No, you don't.
Really? Really? You want to be there and you want to go through all of that? That's some crazy. So then let's jump back to Romans then. Let's jump back to Romans. Where is Romans? There it is. Romans and chapter 8, where we just were. So, and starting at verse 18, let me move up. What time we got? Okay, we got a couple of minutes. Romans, Saul then says, now you put this in context. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us when Messiah comes. Mm-hmm. So what healing is he talking about? What health, wealth, prosperity? What end of all sickness and disease and end of tragedy and trial and tribulation and cursing and all? When does all of that happen? When Messiah comes. Mm-hmm. For the intense longing of creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of Elohim. So also, the world is the whole planet is waiting for that moment. For the creation was subject to futility, not from choice, but because of him who subjected it in anticipation, that the creation itself also shall be delivered from the bondage to corruption into the glorious freedom of the children of Elohim. There's still a bondage that goes on that is all over this planet, including in our own flesh.
Yep.
For we know that all creation groans together and suffers the pains of childbirth together until now. Not only so, but even we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit, we ourselves also groan within ourselves. So the planet is groaning from the curse, from sin, from death, from all. And he says, and we too, even though we have the Spirit in us, we are still groaning just like the planet is groaning. Because people use this as a verse to sort of highlight, speaking with moanings and groanings that cannot be uttered. He's talking about wailings and hardship and what happens as you're being stoned to death. You're everything inside you is screaming out like the planet. The planet's not speaking in tongues. This is not what he's talking about. For in this expectation we were saved, but expectation that is seen is not expectation. For when anyone sees, he does he expect. So the expectation he's talking about is the deliverance from all of this stuff, is the blanket health, wealth, prosperity. He's saying that's something we don't see yet. It's not here. We groan for it. We're looking for it. We know it's coming, but while we're here, we're going through all of this stuff. Verse 25, and if we expect what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with endurance.
With endurance.
And in the same way, the Spirit does help us in our weakness, for we do not know what we should pray, but the Spirit himself pleads our case for us with groanings unutterable. He's not talking about speaking in another language. He's talking about getting through this stuff, going through this stuff, moaning and groaning out to God. What do you think Saul was saying as he's bobbing in the ocean?
Oh, yeah.
Father, help, Father, help. And he who searches the hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because he who makes intercession for the set apart ones according to Elohim. And here's so verse 28. And we know that all matters work together for the good to those who love Elohim, to those who are called according to his purpose. So the context of all of this is we suffer through, but there is an ending to it. There is an answer to all of this. All things will work out for the good to those. That doesn't mean what we're going through now will necessarily work out. And I know that's tough for people to hear. Hardship comes, death comes, sickness comes, tragedy comes, disease comes, war comes. These things come. All those things and everything you're going through, everything you're suffering through, whatever circumstance you got going on in your life, whatever hardship you're going through, you can endure and get through, pray, cry out, you'll get through, but your ultimate getting through is the resurrection. That's that. All things, whatever you've gone, are going to work out for your good on that day when,
That's right.
as we just read in Revelation 7, you stand before him in white robes, and now there's no more fear, no more tears, no more sickness, no more war, no more disease, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So, again, where I'm not saying not to pray for people. Yes, should. We have to.
Yep.
I don't know when Father's going to intervene. I ask for Father to intervene all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't, we endure.
That's right.
We endure. And sometimes we endure some very, very difficult and horrible things. But we endure. Believing, hoping for what we do not see. The day when we will have health, prosperity, and wellness. Messiah came to take away the curse. And he does. And he does. But the curse is still playing itself out throughout history and playing itself out throughout life. And so long as we're in this flesh, it's here. It's all around us.
Do not believe Joel Osteen. This is not your best life now.
No, but when you listen to all of those health, wealth kind of guys and all that hyper faith stuff, it really is all about trying to make this life the thing. And I get it. It's a hard concept because we're living this life. This is what you've got. This is why it's a faith walk. This is the concept of belief, that we believe there is something more. There is something better. There is something wonderful. Don't store your treasures up where moth. And again, that they never really speak of this scripture. Don't store your treasures up where moth can eat and rust can rot away and thief can steal. Which is where here. And yet we hear all the time. Well, your treasure should be here. You should have health. You should have wealth. You should have prosperity. You should have all of these wonderful things here. Well, that's the total opposite of what Yeshua said. Yep. He said, store your wealth, in the kingdom. That's where your wealth will really matter. And that takes a lot of faith to do.
Yeah, even when the rich man came up to him, right? He said, what do I have to do to be saved?
Get rid of it.
Follow the commandments.
Yeah.
Sell everything you have. Give to the poor, right?
Yeah, get rid of it. Get rid of it and follow me. And be perfected in your sufferings. Because honestly, it's the sufferings. It's the hardship. Don't you think that guy, that day, that received that healing from the master, oh my goodness, he was elated.
Yep.
He had to be elated. But you know what started right after that? Suffering. He lost his family.
Yep.
Loses his synagogue.
Yeah, he lost access, right?
Gets kicked out of the temple. He's a pariah. Who knows? They might have even wanted to kill him. What did they want to do with Lazarus? Once Lazarus got his healing.
Yeah, they didn't want him speaking. Yeah.
Right? They wanted to kill Lazarus, it tells us. Not only they wanted to kill Messiah, they wanted to kill Lazarus too. So, anyway, so just a different perspective, guys, as we're heading into a new year. I don't want this to be a gloom and doom thing, but I want you to know you can endure. You can endure. You can endure. You can get through. We have to have the hope. And sometimes Father intervenes, and sometimes you got to walk through it, and you'll learn through it, and you'll be able to take the comfort that Father comforted you with in whatever situation you were going through, and then comfort somebody else with that same comfort.
Yeah, and just remember, like you brought up the vine dresser. Anyone that has a bush knows if you don't cut that thing back and hurt it here or there, you'll have a bush that grows perfectly on the outside, but in the center, it's all brown and dead. So whenever you prune it, it's for the good of it, right? Yeah. So we go through lots of pruning in this life, but at the end, it's going to be for the good, right? Yep. So guys, on this last morning manna for 2022, I know a lot of people are hurting. I know a lot of people are going through all sorts of different things. I know a lot of people are asking for healing, and I hope you get it. I truly do, man. I want to believe in Father that you do. But if you don't, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because something somebody did to you. It's not. I mean, listen, can our parents influence us? No doubt, but it's up to you. You make your decision. You follow Messiah.
and know
That's
that
right.
all
Amen.
things one day will work out to the good. So don't give up. Don't give up. Endure. Press through. There's nothing wrong
Joy
with
comes
you.
in the morning.
Yeah. Weeping may endure for the evening, but joy is going to come in the morning. So anyway, that's our conversation for today, bro.
Yeah, it was good. I missed you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, I missed you, man. I really did. It's good to talk with you. So we
You
got
too, brother.
a new one coming up next year, brand new year coming up. Within our culture, a brand new year. So we're looking forward to it.
Yep.
And we'll see you tomorrow morning, where we got a neat message. Hopefully, you guys will be there to join us. And again, guys, just don't forget to download that app. But go ahead, bro.
Yep.
You got the last word.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the same thing. Download the app, hit the like button, share it with a friend. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the Sabbath that was created for you. Love you guys.
Yep. God bless, bro. Love you.
Love you, man. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I hope it encourages you for the year that's coming up. That listen, so long as you're not getting shipwrecked, there's nobody running around trying to beat you with rods. We're doing pretty good. So don't give up. Don't give up. There is a resurrection coming. There is a life coming, and I know that some people look at that as, oh, that's pie in the sky later. No, that's the reason for who we are. That is the promise. That's what I think Moses was talking about. That is certainly what Yeshua was talking about. That is the promise. So don't give up, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for our weekend evangelism message as we continue with From the Beginning. We're going to be talking about the days of Noah and the days of Lot. So be part of that. Guys, have a wonderful, wonderful, safe evening tonight. If you're hanging out with family and friends, just be safe in everything that you do. And we will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, as we've been saying, download the app, be part of the conversation. Join us on Manna Eaters Part 2.0. And don't forget, if you're on Telegram, that we're only going to be on there for today, and by tomorrow it will be down. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Yah bless and Shabbat Shalom.